this morning we are going to be doing just some deep breathing relaxation exercises because sometimes that's just what you need. I know that's what I need. So, alright, slow and steady. Let's just begin this, okay? So let's start. First, breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Okay, so life can bring us a whole lot of stressors, right? We've all got a lot going on in our lives, and sometimes things can get a little overwhelming, and we don't know what to do, or how to act, or how to think. But sometimes you just need to talk to yourself, as my therapist would say. And remind yourself that you are only one person, and really, you are only in control of yourself. You can't control what somebody else does, okay? Doesn't matter what you say to them. You can't control what they do. At the end of the day, people make their own decisions, regardless of influence. So you have to remember that when it comes to work, when it comes to friends, when it comes to family. When you want to help people, but they don't really seem to care about receiving your help. And you see them kind of making these mistakes over and over again. And no matter what you say, it's just kind of going in one ear and out the other. And that's when you have to remind yourself, because it will drive you crazy, that you are only in control of yourself. You know, you can instill all kinds of information into somebody, all kinds of passion into trying to get through to them. But at the end of the day, you know, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. And you can't control that, okay? You can control what you do. You can control how much effort you put in, okay? You can control your boundaries, right? Because sometimes you gotta set those boundaries with yourself and with others and just say, you know, I'm a very passionate person and I want to help my friends and I want to help my family. But when the things that I say go unheard and I watch them make these mistakes over and over again, it bothers me, okay? And it kind of hurts my feelings to a certain extent, but it's also just draining watching them suffer also. So you have to take yourself out of these situations sometimes, or take a back seat, or a further back seat, or step away from the situation, you know, instead of getting so involved, you know. You don't want to be generic, but you can't be so invested anymore, you know, because it's not honestly, it's not doing you any good, and it's not doing them any good. So you just have to think about yourself and remind yourself that only you are in control of yourself, okay? What they're gonna do is what they're gonna do. And at the end of the day, you can't do nothing about that. And it's vice versa, you know. Sometimes you're that person who's being told all kinds of things. And there are these people who care about you and they're telling you everything you've already heard. And you know it's making sense, but you do what you want to do anyways, you know. Maybe out of habit, or for some other reason, but you know, you don't really take that advice, you don't take that information, and you kind of end up in that loop, right? But even you see that this loop that you're in is hurting the people around you because they see you suffering, right? So even for you, it's important to maybe dial back, you know what I mean? To say, maybe I won't share so much because I know what they're going to say, and they're going to mean it, and they're going to be caring, and at the end of it all, I'm not going to listen to it. So why don't I help us both by not sharing so much? And that's a way that you can alleviate a lot of stress from an already stressful situation. Okay? So, that's the big lesson. I am only in control of myself. Perhaps you have anxiety like I do, and you tend to anticipate very bad outcomes that haven't existed. You tend to create scenarios in your head of these like doomsday scenarios, and you create this fear. You're worried about things that you shouldn't be worried about, right? You're worried about, you know, your mother or your father or, you know, your sister. You're worried about somebody, and you're worried about maybe their health and their longevity, and you really don't have a reason for that, you know, but you're just like, you're putting things together. You're like, okay, well, I'm getting a bit older, they're getting a bit older, certain things are inevitable, so now I'm kind of terrified, you know. And that was kind of a problem for me, really, in the whole last year, actually. Yeah, up until more recently, where I had to stop dwelling on what could be, you know, being afraid of the next day because I'm worried about what might happen to so and so, you know, instead of enjoying being with them, right? You know, if you're constantly worried about something happening to someone, you don't get to enjoy them while they're around. So I had to remind myself that, you know, there are plenty of people in my life who I do care about, you know. And this was triggered by, like, my aunt's sudden passing last year. It was the most significant passing I'd ever dealt with. And she passed, and my father passed, and my great aunt passed, all within a week of each other. And so it was kind of it was a lot to process. But out of all three of them, I was closest to that particular aunt, and I had just seen her, and suddenly she was gone, and it was like, how, you know, even to this day, I'm often asking myself, where is she? But that's more of an existential question that doesn't really benefit me very much to ask. I know what she believed, and I hope that she is where she wants to be. So, but that fear that came with loss, and the fear that comes with being afraid of future loss and how you will deal with that, can be be devastating on your mental health. The best thing you can do in the now is not to think about what could be if it's to such a big degree, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of potentials, right? Life has tons of variables. You just cannot account for them. And all you can do is live, you know, and enjoy what you have and who you have, you know what I mean? Even if you only have one person, or maybe you aren't, maybe it isn't someone who you see very often, maybe it's someone long distance, but at least you have that person, right? You have the comfort of them being there, you know, and being able to reach out to them through some means, you know, just appreciating, right? I think I had a problem with appreciation and thankfulness leading up to last year. You know, I really wasn't thankful for a lot of the things in my life, and a lot of the, you know, fortunate things that I have, and privileges, you know, that not everybody has. And, you know, it finally has dawned on me that I have a lot to be thankful for. But when you have, like, mental health issues, particularly depression, you know, your thoughts and your perception of your life and things are very distorted at times. So it becomes very easy to think that, you know, there's no positive aspects of your life. But, you know, becoming aware of your distorted thoughts is one way to fight that, you know. You know, it's so generic. It's so generic, and I hate it because I know if my therapist said this to me, even this week, I would roll my eyes like a freaking bowling ball. But it's so true, and sometimes I just hate admitting when one of her little generic little sayings kind of sinks in and marinates into me unknowingly. But, you know, you have to be kind to yourself. And that really is true. Sometimes you gotta look at things from other people's perspectives also. Like people who admire you or think highly of you. Because that's not something I did. Because there are a lot of people who have very passionate opinions of me. And it never really dawned on me to kind of try to get into their head and think like, you know, to try to think of how they think of me, you know, because just being that positive of myself was hard. But, you know, in doing that eventually, it kind of made me nicer to myself, because then I kind of felt like by being mean to me, I was being mean to them. So, by no means are things like perfect. Like, I am still working on the whole self-love thing. In fact, self-love is a word that I don't even like at this moment, but we're working on it, right? So, I have no idea if I stayed on track with my thought process, because I know I just totally blanked out. So, I'm gonna wrap this up, and I hope that I didn't just end abruptly on something, but if I did, you know, my bad. And by this point, you gotta know that. And the fact that I think I was kind of consistent this whole video was kind of an improvement, right? Because, you know, with me, I'm going here and there and here and there, kind of like I am right now, by talking about that kind of stuff. But anyways, you know, if times are hard for you right now, and you're somebody who was like me and looking towards the future, and even now is still kind of scary and not something you necessarily look forward to, day by day, just take it day by day. You know what I mean? Stop fortune telling. You know what I mean? Stop telling yourself what's going to happen, and see what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Only what's happening will lead to what happens, right? So, you know, you have to stop it out with some more deep breathing, shall we? We're gonna breathe in to our nose and out to our mouths, nice and slow. Let's go.